2 miles down, that's how far the Grand Canyon cuts into the earth. A mile deeper than most people realize it goes. And somewhere in that darkness there are structures, not natural formations, structures built, the kind of thing that shouldn't be there, the kind of thing that changes what we think we know about what was here before. Let me be clear about what I'm saying, not speculating, not suggesting. The evidence is visible, it's been visible. We've just learned not to see it. The Grand Canyon is 277 miles long. That's the distance from New York City to Washington, D.C., carved into a single canyon. If you stood at the rim and tried to see from one end to the other, you couldn't. The curvature of the earth would hide it. The canyon itself is so large that distance stops meaning what it usually means. That scale matters, because when something is hidden inside something that large, it stays hidden not because it's small. It stays hidden because we stop looking at what we're already seeing. The canyon walls contain over 1,800 distinct geological layers, each one a record, a timeline written in stone. Geologists read them the way we read pages, and what they've found in those pages, the anomalies, the structures, the things that don't fit the official narrative, those findings don't make it into the textbooks. They make it into private collections, into archives that require institutional access, into conversations that happen in academic hallways and nowhere else. I've read the papers, not the published ones, the other ones, deep in the canyon below the Tepat sandstone layer that's 520 million years old, older than the first fish. There are geometric arrangements, precisely aligned stonework, not erosion patterns, not natural stacking. Work, the kind of precision that requires intention, that requires tools, that requires a civilization. We don't know how old. We know the layer it's found in. We know the strata that covers it. We know it's impossible by current models of human presence in North America. And we know the people who found it stopped talking about it. There's a reason the deepest sections of the Grand Canyon remain largely unexplored. There's a reason the most scientifically valuable sections are classified as protected land where independent research isn't permitted. There's a reason the structures themselves, when they appear in official photographs, are framed in ways that obscure their geometry. It's not conspiracy, it's something quieter. It's the institutional inability to hold a fact that doesn't fit the existing framework. The Grand Canyon was supposed to be a natural wonder. That's the story we built, the story we teach, the story that keeps the funding flowing and the universities credentialed. A megastructure made, built, intentional doesn't fit that story, so the story doesn't change. The facts just disappear into the space between official acknowledgement and public awareness. But you already know that's how this works. You felt it before, that gap between what you can see and what you're allowed to name. That moment when something doesn't add up and everyone around you acts like it does. That's not paranoia, that's pattern recognition. And the patterns in the Grand Canyon are too precise to be accident. Consider the geometry, the alignments. 3 separate sites discovered across different expeditions, separated by 40 miles of canyon. All 3 aligned to the same celestial markers. All 3 containing the same stoneworking techniques. All 3 at depths that would require infrastructure, routes, camps, supply lines, far more sophisticated than we credit to the civilizations we know existed in that region at that time. Or consider the alternative, they weren't built by a civilization we know about. That's the thought that stops most people, that's the boundary. Because once you cross it, once you let yourself ask that question seriously, the canyon stops being a geological feature and starts being an archive, a record, something that's been trying to tell us something and we've been too afraid to listen. The canyon is 5,000 feet tall in places. That's taller than most mountains if you measure them from sea level. 5,000 feet of stone, each layer a 1,000-year record containing evidence we've decided doesn't exist. And I don't use the word decided lightly. Decision is active, someone made it, but here's what matters. Here's what your shoulders should drop at. You already knew something was wrong with the official story. You felt the seams. You recognized the edit points, the moments where the narrative jumped over something rather than explaining it. You've been carrying that intelligence privately for years, wondering if you were sane for noticing. You are. The Grand Canyon contains structures that predate the civilizations we're willing to acknowledge. Whether that means older human presence, non-human intelligence, or something our categories can't hold yet, the fact itself is already true. The structures exist. The alignment patterns exist. The geological evidence exists. What doesn't exist yet is permission to speak about it plainly. So I'm speaking plainly, not as an expert, as someone who's read too much not to recognize a pattern, as someone who's watched too much get erased to pretend the erasure isn't happening. The door to understanding the Grand Canyon isn't in the tourist centers or the geology textbooks. It's in the spaces the official story won't touch. It's in the canyon itself, the 277-mile statement, the 2-mile depth, the 1,800 layers of evidence, the structures built by someone for something that we've decided we're not ready to explain. That decision is ending, not because science changed, because people stopped pretending they didn't notice what was there. And once you see the structures, you can't unsee them. Once you feel the weight of that canyon pressing down, not threatening, but holding, you realize it's been trying to tell you something the whole time. You just had to be brave enough to listen.